And for today's live stream, I had a request. So Diane here asked me about doing something like this. Although, to be clear, her request wasn't strictly how to make this particular one with the, this little kind of garland with the letters hanging from a string. She wanted actually to have it all kind of joined together. So I understand that that was the request, but I think I want to work up to that point because there are like kind of fun things to show you along the way. So yeah, let's do it. I have a blank project over here. I'm just gonna call it this sort of custom text garland or something like that. Custom text garland. And so, yeah, I think there are like kind of fun things to show you along the way. And I'm going to start with something really simple. I'm just going to start with like creating that shape, that kind of sort of flag-like shape. And then we'll put a piece of text on it. So the idea here is, let me get these. I want to create a component. I'm just going to rename the first component. I'm going to call it the letter because I want to have like each one to be a single letter. And I'm just going to make it with a rectangle. I'm going to make that sort of shape. And to make that the little kind of corners at the bottom, I'm just going to grab a triangle or a couple of triangles. So let's search for triangle. And what I can do is grab one that is the right triangle. I'm going to place it like so. And I'm going to grab the other right triangle and I'm going to place it like so. So they just kind of match the center of the square. And I'm just going to join them. I'm just going to weld them together. Go to modify, so select it all, and Boolean union. And that's just like my basic flag shape. Then I want to add the letter. So that's just a piece of text I'm going to place right here in the center. I don't know what to call it. A piece of text. It's just, it's a text. And I'm going to start with an example like with the letter T. I think I want a little bit chunkier. So I'm going to use the default font, but I want to choose not the regular, but like the, let's see, 600. Let's do 800. I think it's like a slightly chunkier look. And importantly, I want to make these sort of customizable. I want to make like variations upon these. So I'm going to go ahead and extract this text as a component. So I'm going to extract it as a parameter. So when I do that, it looks like nothing changed, but like it basically, whenever I see these, I can change this to another letter. And just to be kind of neat about it, I'm just going to change this one to blue because I'm going to be the stroke to blue because I'm going to be like using it as a stroke. And I'm going to change the stroke of the shape to red because like that's going to be a cut. So anyway, what this allows me to do is this thing where like if I create just another component that I'm just going to use as a basic canvas, whenever I drag a letter, that component I called letter, each one of those is going to have that option to change the text or the letter. So let's put another one. And so you'll see that if I select this one, I can have the T. If I select this one, I can have like an A. Or this could be, if I select this one, I can have, I don't know, like an O. And so that's kind of like the flexibility of creating something as using something as a component that has like a single sort of local parameter. Why don't we rename it? Let's call it the letter. So I actually went ahead and like cut this version just to get myself like a sort of tactile idea of what it would look like. I'm using the usual like chipboard kind of stuff to get a sense for it. Get the light. So I just scored that letter in the middle, and I have my shape. I think it could be refined a little bit. I think it's a little pointy. So I think that's one of the first things I want to do. I want to go back to that letter component. And so this is kind of like the other kind of show of flexibility of using a component, is that like now I'm going to apply a round corners modifier. I go here. So that rounds all the corners a little bit. I don't want it too extreme. I just want it to be like 4 inches. And so that change applied to all the kind of variations of the ones that I had here. Oh, because I changed the. So that's kind of like a sort of consistent, easy way of like, making a change in a place and then kind of having it cascade all over your other things. All right, the other thing I want to do is I want to have like little holes, so we can like string it like so, like it's right here. And so I just need to make a change to this component. So I'm going to add a little circle. I'm going to keep it black. Let's make it like kind of really tiny. 0.06 makes sense. And I want to change the position. So yeah, 042 makes sense. I want to make these two sections the same. Wait. I say minus 042. No, sorry, I got it wrong. Oh yeah, I see what I did. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of eye it, so it kind of lands in a good spot. Like I want it to be sort of diagonal to the corner. Yeah, something like that looks good. And now I want to have like the same hole on the other side of the of this kind of flag. So just to make life easier, I'm just going to select it and apply that mirror repeat modifier. So now I have the two holes. And if you just wanted to like make a quick sort of customized text garland thing, you could stop here and like go and make your project, because at this point I have the little holes, I have the rounded corners. I kind of went ahead and cut that version. So here's the other one for comparison. Let me zoom in a little bit. So this is the old one with the pointy corners, and this is the new one with the like round holes. I think it looks a little neater. I tested it with some string. Here's some string. I think I can like thread it through, kind of like that. Threading things live. Okay, so I think that looks kind of cool. Kind of like a fun craft project. And if you kind of wanted to do it like very manually, you could definitely already do it this way. So I'm gonna go over here, and let's say I want to do like a happy birthday one. So I can delete all of these. I can simply drag all my letters. I can do like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. A little tedious for sure, but like it can get you quickly. So I have to select each one and type the letter. So if I want like happy, and P, and Y. I did it. I actually cut this one because I wanted to have it as an example. I don't know if I should thread it over here. That's going to take a bit, but I cut it. Here it is. No, I'm not going to thread it. That's like a lot. But we can do better. I think what I really want is the ability to just type happy and have all of it be generated. I think that's like the goal. So let's try that. So my goal is to have like a parameter here that is a piece of that is text. So I'm going to call it the text. And that parameter is of type text. There we go. So what I want to happen is that when I type happy over here, that it just generates immediately each one of the letters and lets me cut them right away. I think that's what I want to happen. So let's do it. I'm going to have to explain a couple of things. This might be a little bit more code heavy than usual, but I'm going to try and keep it straightforward. So I'm going to delete these here. And so quick explanation. If we have a letter here, one of these, we can apply this modifier called repeat, or linear repeat. Any of the repeats really, but I'm going to apply the linear repeat, which is up here. And so what the linear repeat does is it creates, it repeats them in a linear fashion. So meaning I can choose what's the displacement in between them, like that. So because they are 1 inch, if I leave it at 1 inch, they're just all stuck together. If I increase that a tiny bit, then it gives me a little spacing in between them. And then I can select, when I choose the linear repeat, I can select not only the displacement, I can also select the number of repetitions. So if I want 3 or 4 or 5. So that's a kind of like very basic use of the linear repeat. Every repeat has this like special option that lets you customize each repetition. So when I select that repeat, there is like a little option here that if I check customize each repetition, then I get this kind of thing that gets auto-generated. You'll see it. So it gives me this variable called rep. And the variable rep applies to, it assigns a number to each one of the repetitions. So I can use that number for kind of like anything that I want. So let's be, if I have 3 of them, you'll see that I get the number 0, 1, and 2. So that means that the first repetition gets assigned the number 0, the second one the number 2, and the third one, so the number 1 and the number 2. So 0, 1, and 2. And so I can sort of do a bunch of different things with that. Like the most basic thing I could do is like say because each of these letters has this kind of option that it can change the way we changed it before, which is when we select it, we can like choose any letter. We can basically just use that rep variable to change what it says. So here, I could like, I'm gonna make a mistake, but it's intentional. If I type rep, you'll see that it just writes rep in all of them. In order to use a sort of variable like this, you have to, with text specifically, you have to check, click on the 3 dots and click on edit expression, because text in general is written with like quotation marks. So, like this is text. But if I don't write it in quotation marks, it just looks for the variable. So I'm going to type rep, and it needs to be. So notice what happened. Because each letter has this option to change the letter, I changed it to rep. So that means that for the first one, it's going to assign the 0. For the second one, then the 1. For the third one, the 2, and so forth. And if I keep up and increasing that, the number of repetitions, each one gets assigned the consecutive number. So that's the first step in kind of understanding the kind of customized repetitions. The next step I need to explain is that this rep thing is basically a list, or the index of a list. So what I get is a list basically that starts at 0 and it keeps on increasing from there. So what I need to do is say, hey, I want a list of letters. So instead of these numbers or the index of the list, I want a list of letters that gets assigned to each one of these. And so here's where I can sort of show you how to generate that list. So you'll know from now on. So I'm gonna create something called letters list. I'm just gonna type it. You don't have to do these like specifically the way I'm doing it. I think I'm trying to do it for clarity. but it's kind of neat to see it. So the letters list, I'm going to use this kind of expression. So I'm going to take this variable text or this parameter text, and I'm going to use this this kind of, what do you call it? It's kind of function that splits something based on something else. So I'm going to type split it based on just a blank space. You may have seen these used before when we split things by using when we split text by using a new line. But in this case, we're just splitting it character by character. So notice how the result of this operation of splitting text based on an empty string is that we get like a list that is composed of the letters H, A, P, P, Y. So that's progress. So that means that whatever I type here, like birthday, it generates a list based on those letters. So now what I need to do is assign each one of these letters of the list to my repetition. So let's go to happy. And this next one is also unnecessary, but I think it might clarify things. So I can sort of extract any letter of the list. So I don't know, let's call it show letter. I might delete this one. So the way I show any letter of the list is I can say, hey, that letters list, or yeah. If I use these brackets, I can say, hey, show me number 0. So it shows me the H. If I tell it, hey, show me number 1, then it shows me the A, and so forth. Show me number 2, shows me the P. So as I change that index, it shows me the following letter. So that gives us the sort of formula, or like the way in which we can use the index to create the number of repetitions. I mean, we can use the index to show each one of these elements as one of these letters that we created. So I'm going to go to here, and instead of rep in that case, is going to be the letters list. That's kind of a mess. I'm going to use the bracket and say, the same way I did it over here. If I say 0, then it's all H's. If I say 1, all A's. So I'm kind of extracting, the letter from the index. But I want it to be assigned based on this rep variable. So I want it to be 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I simply type rep. I'm kind of replacing it there. So automatically now we get the text. So if I type birthday, it just keeps on generating all the letters. But you notice that something happened here, which is, if I type happy, on uppercase, then I still need to have the number of repetitions correspond to the number of letters, because right now I would have to sort of do it manually here. Happy has 5, but birthday has more. So there is a way to find out how many items there are on a list. So I'm just gonna create it here. Items, list items. And so what I can do is kind of look for that. So I can say, hey, the text parameter, which is happy, tell me what the length is. Length. Oh, let's forget how to spell that. So this is neat. Now it just kind of counts on its own. So happy anniversary. You see how that number increases as I type more letters. So that's just a convenient way of finding out how long it is. And by finding out how long it is, I can just kind of plug it into here, into the number of repetitions. So I could simply type text.length. And so now, I misspelled that. So now the number of repetitions is going to correspond to the length of the text list. So let's go back to that. So I can say birthday. And it nicely generates one letter. Every time I type a letter, it just adds one item to the list and generates that letter. So I think this is like the basic setup. all of this kind of was for show, so I don't really need to leave it there, especially this one maybe. No, I'm going to leave it there. Whenever you, just to kind of mention this, whenever you create these sort of code expressions, they get kind of like grayed out, which is nice because when you want to present your project on the README, I don't know, I'm going to call this component the cut, because that's kind of like what you would finally cut. And I add the component to the README. You'll notice that all of those kind of disappear from here because they're kind of just calculations. In this kind of simplified view, you don't have to see all those calculations. Last little detail I want to add to this project, well, just for nicety, for like making it work, is that I actually want that whenever I type uppercase here, whenever I type in any case, I want it all to turn uppercase because I'm kind of running into this trouble where like these letters are like overlapping the edges. I don't love it. We can automate that. JavaScript, which is what this is, has this kind of like funky way of you can sort of stack or chain things onto things. Let me explain. So to turn things into uppercase, you can say something like this: text upper. So I can say, hey, take that text and dot and say, how do you spell it? To uppercase. What did I misspell here? Case. Yeah, there you go. So notice how the to uppercase is added, is a sort of function that is applied to text. And so whatever I type here, whatever the case, hello, gets turned into uppercase. And I could like sort of chain it I could do like one and then kind of put it on the other, but I could do it all in one step, which is trippy. I find it trippy. So I could say here, in this case, text to uppercase, which is what I just did. And then I could say split it, do the operation first, and then after that, split it based on a blank character. And that just kind of like combines everything. It might make it like less readable, but it's fun. So now whatever I type, like birthday, it just gets turned to uppercase, and it's just very, very convenient. I can just download the SVG. So I think this is neat. Now I can type anniversary. I can type anything and kind of works. I did go ahead and cut that one. I thought that was like a fun. And I pre-threaded it because there's no time to thread it. I think this is fun. I think maybe a refinement here would be to like change the size. But here's my little garland. I actually think this opens up some possibilities for like working with text. I think, we just kind of made this one where like we create this little garland. But, I was thinking, a variation of these could be something like, we just created a way to generate this text attached to shapes. And for example, I'm just gonna sketch out an idea I had last night, but I haven't tried. So for example, if this, if instead of that thing is like a circle, something like that, make that circle red. That kind of totally changes the character of what I just did, because now I could even do something like what's with these holes. Let's hide and use for a moment. I could like apply this weld score maybe, because I want all the circles to be welded. No, actually, oh yeah. To make this idea work, I need to make these, give it a fill. I'll make it work. I'll make it work. Check this out. I think I can. Move the text to the top. Okay, here we go. Yeah, look at that. So that one, the one I just created, I don't know, it's like kind of like a simple bubble letters, and these all should cut in a single piece. The red outline, and then you get the scores from the overlap, which is, it could be a design element, I don't know. But if instead of weld and score, I apply the flatten, let's select it, modify, flatten. Let's look at the stroke result. I think that one's kind of neat too, because like it just cuts all the outside, and then you can score the letters, and of course like we still get these our things working. I could type a name. So this is like just, it's a quick variation on the same concept. Like I think the first version was like way more elaborate. Okay, just to finish it off, let me go back to the previous version. So I can hide this circle. I can return the holes and the flag, and now we're still there. Oh, we don't need the flatten. Okay, so we're back. In the last 2 minutes, I'm gonna try and use this go back to the request that Diane had, which I'm not super convinced, but like, I mean, super convinced of the implementation, not the request. The request is cool. So I found that Ryan made this thing called pattern along path. So it's like a specific modifier that takes, you can create a path and then kind of pattern something along it, and it just kind of like stretches it. So I'm gonna grab that modifier from this project. I'm just gonna copy this element. I'm gonna go edit, copy, and I'm gonna bring it onto my kind of Garland project. Just gonna paste it. So I'm gonna go edit, paste. And so that brings that project in, which has this kind of, if I twist that path around, I can get the connected component. Whenever you bring a modifier like I just did from a different project, it comes in with all the components that it had. So there was a connected component, and it comes in specifically with the modifier itself. So if I go to modify, here at the bottom, it came with that pattern along path that I wanted. So just to do it really quick here, let's bring it down to the center. I think I can change this path to have this cut I created. So I'm gonna click pattern along path, where I can see all the properties. And so this one takes the name of the component. So I called it cut, is there. And it's gonna complain if I, cut, then parentheses. And so I think with this pattern along path, we can get the kind of twisting, or like the kind of garland look. It distorts it a little bit, which you can think of it, you can think of it as a bonus or not. I don't know. So I was saying that I'm not super happy with this implementation, but like it's progress. Maybe for the next time we'll get a better. Maybe the alignment is on the top of the path. Maybe I can make that path a little bit more symmetric. Can play around with it. Oop, not what I wanted. I guess I don't need that anchor. I can just kind of bend it like so. Yeah, I need to work on this one, but it should still work. Yeah. And then in order to kind of join it together, I'm just trying to make it like a more natural drape. In order to join it together, we can like just use this, you can duplicate this path. I'm gonna just right click duplicate. I'm just gonna get rid of the pattern along path. So that gives me the path on its own. And what if I apply a outline stroke? So that gives me kind of like a pad with the outline. And let's change it to red maybe. So I guess the job now here will be to join these two together. And I think flatten is like the easiest way to do it. Let's make that red. And go back to that. And let's make these red. I mean, give it the red fill. So, sort of, I think this could use some refinement. I mean, a little bit of it is aesthetic. Let's do the flatten here. So I think this works. I mean, these should cut as intended. Let's see the stroke result. I think perhaps if I were to do this, I mean, I have questions for Diane, perhaps. Like, does it need little holes to hang from somewhere? I think something I would like to do is change the spacing. I can do that really quick because the spacing is the spacing on the linear repeat. I could create a parameter here called spacing. And so just plug it in here, spacing. Oop, 0 is not a good spacing. So that changes the spacing here, but it also should change the spacing here. Yeah, there we go. So close. We got somewhere. I think hopefully this is good. I'm gonna share this project when I'm done. I'm gonna clean it up a little bit. I'm sharing it just as is, so you can say play with these kind of bendy option. Hopefully this gives you the tools to like take it where you want. And then you can give me some feedback and we can like come up with a more refined version of these. But at least for now, it should work as a sort of, strung up version, kind of like this one I just made. I think even this as just a finished project is like a really fun idea. But anyway, that was half an hour. Let's go back to this. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for your questions and comments in the chat. I will see you in the next one. All right, bye.